This is the only book I wrote every word of, though. I've always had co-authors.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to RoofCon 5 2023, Orange County Convention Center, Orlando, Florida. How are you guys doing today?
It's confusing. Orange County,
Yeah.
Florida. I like
People think
Orange
Cali.
County, California is kind of nicer, but I like the philosophy here a little better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, for sure.
DeSantis does a pretty good job, better than Newsom.
Well,
Are we supposed?
we're allowed to walk
That's
around.
fine.
Probably.
We're allowed to walk around outside
As
out here.
long as you're speaking the truth.
Yeah. We've got our good friend Garnett here.
Yeah. I got introduced by the wrong name multiple times.
Garnett.
Great.
Garnett.
Like he's a well-known, very famous Garnett.
Yeah.
All right.
And
go
then I
with it.
saw your tag, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he has 2 T's, but
I just feel special here.
yeah.
And
And I saw the book. I was like, no, it is 2 T's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Garrett or Garnett?
No, it's Garrett.
Okay.
Right
Who's
there
Garrett
says-
in here? I'm like, Garrett
we're just
Gunderson.
testing if you can read.
Yeah, barely, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Garret Gunderson and Hunter Ballew, man, what's happening, guys? Tell us.
Hanging
Let's
out, man.
let's get it. Give us the synopsis of how this is going so far here at RoofCon 5.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's going pretty good. For me, I'm a competitor. I always
Mhm.
want to win.
Mhm.
I always want the best. So it could always be better. You know, I'm always just looking, scanning the floor, asking vendors, asking attendees what could be better, and thinking about RoofCon 6, 2024. But also after my recent battles, a lot of inner peace, and also just really taking it in this time. You know, like I have 3 reminders set on my phone: 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. to just have energy, love on the vendors, love on my team, love on the attendees, and just enjoy it. You know, no matter how many people showed up, if it would have been 100 or 10,000, just enjoy it, be present, be in the moment. And so, man, I can honestly say, like, this one, I'm actually taking it in, enjoying it, and all the critiques that I'm making myself this time are just footnotes so I can get better next time.
Mhm.
You two can have inner peace if you just get malaria.
No,
Yeah, I actually can show you how to do it.
I think
Very
I can find
zen
other ways.
afterwards.
For
Like
an easy
you
10
make it to the other
grand, I
side.
will give you malaria.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take the easier, softer way to find.
Hey,
inner
Ty
peace.
was on that trip, actually.
Yeah, and I got it, but I survived.
Yeah.
You couldn't even tell.
Don't
Yeah.
even take it.
Yeah.
I'm actually a 2-time survivor. of
You-
With
if
the
you're gonna
whole
do
eye.
something,
you got to make it count.
I want you to 10x.
Yeah. I'm good with 2. I'm good with 2.
No doubt.
No, so RoofCon number 5 here in
Yes.
2023. It's been
Amazing.
great
Amazing.
growth. We hit 5,000 tickets. We're about 175 vendors. And Garnett here,
Mhm.
Garrett
Yeah.
Gunderson, is one of our speakers. He dropped some bombs today on financial literacy, I'd say.
Oh,
I actually saw him speak in June, was very impressed at another event. Reached out to him. He does some one-day immersions, so I wanted to take part in that. Hit him up. He took me out to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And look, I'm from the country, so I'm used to people coming out to South Carolina and me taking them to my house. Like, oh my God, like you're taking me in the middle of nowhere. You're going to kill me. This was like actually the middle of nowhere, like in the mountains of Utah, way back
oh wow.
on a river. And he didn't kill me.
No,
We did a
that's
one-day
just-
immersion, dove
Okay.
in, helped clear some roadblocks, establish some goals, create a clear path so that I could hit my next goals. And it was awesome. But yeah, just he's launching a new book. You want to talk a little bit about the
Yeah.
book?
Yeah, book just came out October of
Mhm.
this year, and I put my whole heart and soul into this book because it's like I wanted someone else to write this in 2008. 2008, I was like, I want to know the psychology of money, like our personas, how we operate with it, like how different people view it differently, how they operate differently because of those viewpoints, and no one was willing to write it. So it took a lot more research than I wanted to do, but once I understood these 4 money personas and the shadow and winning side, it became kind of the foundation of the book. And then it became really fun and exciting to write because I just don't think there's anything like it out there. And once we understand our money persona and our spouses or the other people we work with,
Mhm.
we know how to communicate more effectively with them. We know how to get a lot more accomplished from an abundance standpoint. And I think the whole game is really about collaboration, and it helps unlock that kind of thought process in a unique way.
I love that. I love it. So let's rewind here a little bit, Hunter. I heard you talk about going out to his cabin,
Yeah.
in the woods or the mountains of Utah, and finding some perspective on.
Yeah, he
some
came
things.
back Mormon.
Okay,
No, just kidding.
I think he
I've
already
been out there a
was.
bunch of times. He knows.
I think he's a recovering Mormon, actually. But no, so what is it that you do?
So I sold a financial firm in 2021.
Okay.
I founded a Inc. 500 financial firm. We worked with entrepreneurs to show them how to keep more of what they make and become more efficient with their money, get their financial house in order.
Okay.
And as that started to grow, I just felt robotic in that and felt like it was mature enough to succeed without me.
Okay.
And I chose to use entertainment to educate. So I wrote a comedy special around money. I have a children's book that's coming out. I wrote a theatrical keynote so I can help people learn a tough topic in an enjoyable and memorable way. And so I kind of have a media company where I'm utilizing that to educate people, and I educate people in the financial industry as well. But 24 times a year, I'll take a business owner and really help them get their whole financial house in order, really design how they want their life to be and overcome some of their obstacles that remove some of the success that they deserve to have. And that just lets me feel really connected. Like Hunter and I text, we're friends. It was more than just a one-day event. It was like I got to really understand him at a much deeper level and what makes him tick and really get to know and like him. So I like that I can do that 24 times a year. And so that kind of keeps the consulting side for me, which becomes a lot of what I write about, not the individual, but the experiences that come from those types of, structures help me to understand what people are struggling with. And if I'm not talking to people, I could write, but I'm writing from some ivory tower guessing about stuff versus knowing the reality of what people are facing. So it's just a really kind of cool combination. So I'm on the road probably every other week doing either a corporate comedy gig or speaking on this topic of this book or a theatrical keynote. And then the other week I'm doing an immersion, and everything in between is usually just being on podcasts, building relationships, and spending time with my family.
I love that. So what's your financial history? What makes you a guru of this space that you're in right now?
Look, in 98 when I started, I wasn't a guru at all. I just followed suit. I pitched mutual funds. I sold life insurance. I was very transactional, like a lot of people feel in the financial space. But in the year 2000, the market started to go down. And what I did differently is I said, wait, I don't really know what I'm doing. Hard to admit, being a young, arrogant kid that I was. But I went to all my clients and said, I'm not quite sure. I just hand the money over to someone else. I don't like this term. You're in it for the long haul. The market's on sale. And for 26 straight months, I used my young age to meet with really substantially knowledgeable financial people that normally wouldn't just meet with anyone, interviewed them, and I figured out, hey, I can help people become really financially efficient, help them save tax and interest and non-performing fees and redesign their insurance to keep more of what they make. And by doing that, I started to recognize hey, they could now reinvest in their quality of life, or they could invest back in themselves, which was a completely different philosophy than what people are hearing from financial people. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like just because I was intellectually curious and honest, it qualified me for this because I wasn't addicted to being right. I was addicted to what's right and consistently asking those questions, not being married to one concept. I don't sell mutual funds. I don't sell 401ks. I don't get paid on financial transactions. I get paid because people pay me, and then I do the work that's based upon results. So, yeah, I mean, I've been I've been asked to write a book with Robert Kiyosaki. I said no, but I've been around the people in the financial world that a lot of people would hold in high esteem. And I wrote books based upon real experiences that people had and the struggles that they were facing.
I love that. So what do you do for continuous education to stay sharp?
For me, the number one thing I do is those immersions because I'm dealing with real people. If I went to a financial thing, all I would do is be able to point out everything that's indoctrinating people that isn't actually what you want. I know the philosophy. If you can automatically save, deliberately invest, if you can focus on cash flow, if you can invest in yourself and your skill sets and increase your value by serving others and solving problems, and if you can start to secure cash and then capitalize when times are tough, when everybody else is illiquid, you can make major returns. So I don't need to stay too sharp because my mind, I can remember stuff I studied when I was 19 years old. Anything in finance, I have that kind of photogenic or photographic memory, and just it makes sense. But people could talk to me about technology. I can't even remember what the damn acronym was the next day.
Totally.
So for whatever reason, I have this natural ability towards that.
Okay, that's great. So you found your niche at an early age.
Yep.
So you gravitated towards the financial aspect of things, how to save money, how to earn money, how to invest money.
Yep. Let's
talk about investing. What would be one area of investment that you would recommend someone to invest their money in?
Look, they should pick one of these 3 lanes. These are the 3 lanes that create the most wealth. Most people won't pick one of these lanes because they've been trained to just hand their money over and hope for the best. But that has not worked. It's failed far too often. So it's either invest in real estate that you could touch and benefit from, like invest in businesses because half of them are going to change hands in the next 5 to 7 years anyway because the baby boomers are retiring, or invest in creating intellectual property like a book or a way to educate people like you're doing here to help improve their life. One of those 3 lanes is going to help you derive more cash flow than just setting your money in some fund you know nothing about.
I love that. I love that. And it sounds like you have more control over that as well, opposed to shitting in one hand and praying in the other, that your money is compounding interest in somebody else's watch.
Right. They're convincing you to hand your money over and wait for 30 years before it cash flows.
Exactly.
So it's like you're not trained to cash flow, and now you're supposed to cash flow when you stop working. It's a faulty model. It's a terrible philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm all about how do you create cash flow today? Well, 1, you plug financial leaks. 2, you pay off inefficient loans. 3, you go and say, what is the asset class I'm going to focus on based upon my knowledge and create cash flow there? Then you create financial independence where your cash flow covers your expenses, and you should be able to get there within 10 years, not 30 years down the road. And that completely transforms someone's life because now they have choice in their matter. They have freedom of time. They have freedom of their money. They can even have freedom of vocation if they want and move out of the sticks of South Carolina.
Garret, I know that you can speak for an hour about this because I just watched you. Let's talk just real quick, your elevator pitch on the 4 personas that you talk about.
Yeah, so these 4 personas are really the subconscious beliefs and modalities that determine our success or failure when it comes to money. And if it's unrecognized, then those unrecognized forces confiscate our wealth. There's either the miser that plays the game called preservation, the conservative playing the game called accumulation, the striver playing the game called status, or the high roller playing a game called opportunity. So is it that you're trying to hold on to what you got? You're probably a miser. Is that you're just trying to save so much that one day you could finally enjoy life? You're probably a conservative. Is that you just want to earn more than anyone else and have more than anyone else? Then you're probably a striver. And is it that you just want to be in every opportunity and sound really cool when you talk about the opportunities? You might be a high roller. Now, those are the shadow sides. So I'm just pointing out the negative sides. They get in the shadow when they're selfish and isolated and competitive instead of collaborative. When you're in scarcity and it's only about what you get versus abundance, which is what can you give and get, then you stay stuck in the shadow personas. But the winning personas is the mindful manager. And the mindful manager is detail-oriented, they're efficient, and they're great at improving things. That's the opposite of the miser. Instead of the conservative, you have the planner. They're stable, thoughtful, and strategic. Instead of the striver, you have the creator. They're entrepreneurs, artists, or visionaries that lead with innovation and ingenuity. Or instead of a high roller, you have a catalyst. They think and play big and show us ways we can all kind of win together. They're movers and shakers and connectors. So when you can understand this co-creation and collaboration concept, you can embrace that winning side, and then you become so much more valuable to everyone around you, that's what drives more money coming into your life.
So good.
So and so that's a pretty long elevator pitch, but
now
yeah.
That's
Can they get this yet?
Yeah, moneyunmasked.com. And on that site we're like, oh, buy 10.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Buy 50 and I'll meet with you.
Yeah.
What about
So,
what about the kids' book?
Kids book, I Am Money and I Don't Grow on Trees, comes out January of 2024. It's got a major publisher behind it. My co-author Julia sold over 3 million copies of children's books. It's look, I know I'm a co-author. I'm not saying this out of myself. It's a masterpiece. What she did with these concepts to help kids, I think, can really change the game. And even more importantly, the parent that reads it.
Wow.
Because parents don't understand money either. But if they're reading to their kids, they don't have to admit they don't know what's going on, and they could learn from it.
Yeah.
Because it's really about earning and saving and spending and giving. And it's about taking care of the foundational pieces first before trying to go out and overextend or impress other people. And then ultimately, if you get abundant enough where you've taken care of yourself, then you can actually share. And so I think the message is they can invest in themselves and find their skill sets, and that money is critical for the basics. It will make you happier. But beyond the basics, it's a mixed bag. Because if you don't have purpose with that extra money, it becomes really reckless. And I think, how do we say that in a way that's fun for kids? Well, Julia talks about fuzzy patchwork pants and guinea pigs and these cute little, singing and lemonade stands.
Child loves guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a few.
You
Yeah,
have guinea pigs.
I do.
Guinea pig
We actually
farm.
have a farm.
Well, then it
Great.
looks like this book is made for you and your guinea pigs.
I can't. When does that book come out?
January.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
What would you say the recommended ages are for that? Like, what's too young? What's too old?
It's going to crush for kindergarten through 3rd grade.
Okay.
But you could go up to 5th grade and you'd still be getting a lot of result. But I think that the kindergarten through 3rd is where they're going to want to read it over and over again.
Nice.
We've seen it. Julia's been reading it at schools. I've given it to a few people that read it to their kids and film it.
Oh wow, I didn't get it.
So
No.
yeah, you know,
Did an immersion. Didn't
Well,
get it.
what would what
I got a
gave
4-year-old too.
I gave you 500. Well, you bought 500 of these.
You support your bro. And that's what
That's
you do.
right. That's right. And
You get malaria and no kids book.
And made fun of.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. So where would you think that what possessed you guys to co-author a book for children? Where did that idea come from?
I had a consultant in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
really smart financial guy. He goes, if you really want to make an impact, you got to help kids. And he connected me with some children's authors we didn't really like vibe. It was the energy wasn't there. So I tried to write it myself and it sucked. It wasn't good.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't know how to write to a kindergartner.
Yeah.
And so I was on a flight, and before I got on, someone called me because I was on comedy tour and I was talking about comedy, and the person sitting next to me was like, "You're a comedian?" I said, "Yeah." Looks me up and says, "Wait, you're an author?" "I'm an author."
Mm-hmm.
I text my little sister who's a teacher. She's like, "Oh yeah, we got our books." So by the end of the flight, we were already talking about it. And so I just knew, with entertainment being the gateway to transformation, that a children's book's one of the most entertaining ways. And look, if 100 people buy this, I'd be lucky if 20 people read it cover to cover.
Mm-hmm.
But in a children's book, it's almost everyone's going to read that more than once,
Yeah,
cover to
over
cover.
and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, good stuff.
So trying to think of how to tie this in. Is there anything off limits with your story? Anything
No,
I know?
we can talk
Okay.
about whatever.
I'd love to hear about your tough times with your partners, what you went through there.
Yeah.
I don't think you even mentioned that earlier, but it'd be cool to get it here for Ty's audience.
Yeah, man.
So in June of 2006, I got like a really early morning phone call on my landline, which I don't even know my landline number.
Right.
I didn't even pick it up the first round of rings, but in the second round, I finally pick it up, like fraud, like just, and I'm like, what? And it's my business partner saying, "Hey, our plane crashed. Like nobody's heard about what happened after the plane left St. George, Utah last night." I turned on the news and it confirmed that a plane had crashed in the Utah lake. So my two 35-year-old partners had died in the plane crash. Both had wives and kids, and both of their wives were pregnant at the time. So for 4 months, I did nothing but work. Come over here, Breck. This is at the time he was 1. So this guy was 1 at that time. And I just didn't see him because he would be asleep when I left for work in the morning. And by the time I go home late at night, and then finally 4 months later, we were driving to Thanksgiving dinner, and my wife just looked at me and said, "You know what? You're an extraordinary businessman, but an ordinary husband and father." And so like that really hit me.
Yeah.
I realized like I thought I was preserving their legacy and doing the right thing, but I was losing my life along the way and my family. So thank God she was bold enough to kind of call me out on it.
Yes.
And I actually officed that whole December from my house.
Wow.
And just spent a lot of time with them and was rejuvenated and energized.
Mhm.
And it really made a huge difference. And, you know, that's why I started writing my book, because I was energized. They'd take a nap. I'd start writing because I had all this like free time, where before it was just demands of helping everyone but myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 2014,
That was 2006.
2006. So what led up to that point? Why would your wife call you out like that?
Because she never saw me.
Okay.
And if I was there, I was like emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
And we had
Did
this
you
child.
dive into work because of the accident? Like you felt like you
100%,
needed
because I
to?
felt like we had that office and those two partners ran that office. We had 3 offices. So I'm trying to run my office and that office.
Mhm.
And they were big personalities. We didn't have good systems in that office. They just had 2 big personalities. So, and everybody's mourning and grieving. And it was just, it was a lot. I was like 29.
Oh.
Or no, I was younger than that. Wait. No, I was like 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like 25 years old.
So she called you out at a young age.
Yeah, she's always been good at that. Like, it's not like she doesn't say things often, but when she says them,
Mhm.
they're important.
Dude,
Yeah.
I so get that.
Yeah.
I so totally.
And she'll let me
understand
go through my process a lot of times
Mhm.
when I know she kind of knows what it looks like on the other side, but knows
Yeah.
I need to. She's like a mirror and holds it up. It's like, do you like this?
Yeah.
Is this what you want?
that. Isn't it funny when you start to really identify like what your purpose is? You know, because we're so blinded by like we need to work harder, provide for our family, but then what happens is, at least for me, is that they're the ones that are put on the back burners. They're the ones that suffer the most. They're the ones that only get the fumes. They're the ones that only get the crumbs when you show up. And I'm still guilty of it. I wish I could say, yeah, I figured this whole thing out when I was 25 years old. And I want to get choked up about this because Jana has been my rock for so long, and she's same way as sounds like a lot like your wife is. When she says something, I have to listen. And she doesn't say much, because she's my ride or die. She supports all my crazy ideas. And we laughed about this on the way down the road. And she looked at me, and Ed Milet talks about like, you're the one. And she looked at me in all seriousness, and she's like, you're the one. But then she kind of took it back, and she's like, we're the one. And there is no truer words spoken than that we're the one, because if she wouldn't have co-signed all that crazy shit, we wouldn't be where we're at. And who do you think I'm laying in bed with at night when I'm having a bad day?
Comforting you, making you feel safe, helping you through it.
Yes, absolutely. So big shout out to those women that support us, men.
Y'all got me almost crying over here.
Right. And I'm going to probably shut up before I actually start bawling here. But anyhow, it's just funny and where we came from today. And again, it's not perfect. But through those trials and errors, that has made our relationship and our family much stronger today, and has plus given me empathy for those around me and their families to make sure that they get enough time spent with their families so they can grow their families, because it's not always about how much money is in our pocket. Because for the longest time, I thought as long as my children had brand new shoes on for the first day of school, we're winning. Right. But it's way more than that. And up until this year here, Rocket started school at Votech, and he goes to school pretty early in the morning. Typically I would already be out the door for 2 hours, but this year he actually starts school at 6:15. The school bus comes and gets him. And this is actually the first year I've actually been able to be with him in the morning and watch him get on school. I don't know how many first days of schools I've missed, how many first football practices and all that stuff, because dad's got to work so you can have the new spikes on the field. And I think that all that did for me was nothing positive. It burnt me out. I got stressed out when I came home, again, talking about the fumes, the crumbs, putting them on the back burner and taking care of everyone else. And that's what I thought. I thought I was winning. And really, I was losing at home. Yeah. This is the point that I guess I'm trying to make. And I'm sure you can elaborate way more on it than I can, or you.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I talk about Mags a lot, and we were super young when we got together. It's crazy because at the time, like, I'd been out of high school for a couple of years, was already in the Marine Corps, already at the fire department, like felt like I was a man. Played the game, dated a bunch of chicks, but in reality, I was 20 years old. She was 19. She's in college, and now we're almost 13 years in. We were just babies when we were getting started, and part of it is just the ability to grow together, because you're going to grow as a human being, as a business owner, as a leader, in whatever way you want to think about it, you're going to grow, and she's going to grow too. And so for us, it's just been doing that together. For me, for years, I was doing that personal development. She wasn't really on the train. And this was probably like 2020, I think. I felt like we were kind of distant. And not because of her. I'm not blaming her for not doing personal development. It's my job as the man, as the husband, to bring her alongside of me. And so we did. We started Cornerstone Kids, our nonprofit, and that really changed everything. I still remember we were driving back from Indianapolis. We got to like Nashville, and I just opened up to her, and I was like, babe, I feel like you're the best supportive wife I could ever ask for. You're a great mother at this point. We had Turner. He's like 2 years old. And I said, but I want you to be ambitious about your own thing. For me, like, I was just super honest with her. Like, I want you to be ambitious about your own thing. That's something that turns me on. Like, I don't want you just supporting me. And so we started the nonprofit. And from there, man, like, our marriage has just gotten better and better and better and better, creating some of the exercises like embedded that now we do with our kids, and seeing her get on the kick, huge fitness kick. She's way more religious about it than I am, and personal development, and Joyce Meyer and Tony Robbins and John Maxwell. And dude, our marriage is just It's great.
Mhm.
Not to say we don't have tough times, but we get it. We know there's going to be tough times, but we're not going to run from it. We're going to run to it and figure it out.
Mhm. And by being able to take care of yourselves, you're more willing and able to get through those tough times because you've been working in unison up until that point, almost like preparing yourself for those moments.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to hear some more from you.
All right. Well, I think I've been married for 21 years now,
Mhm.
and it still feels really fresh. Like I always joke, I'm like, "Hey, you staying the night again?" You know,
I love
it's
that.
like, and it's like just crazy that we have so much time together, and that we have these kids that we both love to this deep degree.
Mhm.
And like, I love when we just do coffee in the morning, put on a record, we'll sit there and talk for an hour before I'll do my morning ritual. Then sometimes we'll do that. Then I'll go start my day. And in the past, if it was like back in 2007, I would have never carved out that time, because there's this lie I think that we say, like, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
But that's like, what we're really saying is, I'm doing this for our little child in myself that I haven't accepted, and I'm trying to gain recognition from everyone how great I am. Where the people that think we're so great are already there and admire us. Like when my kids I have a joke, I'm like, when they used to think I could take Mike Tyson, when they're little.
Mhm.
It's like, that's easy when they're little, but how do you stay a hero in their eyes because of how you show up for them
Mhm.
and how you love them? And she was always really good at like showing me that. And I feel like of all the investments I've ever made, the investment of my marriage is the most important and best, highest paying dividend investment I've ever done. Because from really, it was like that 2006 year was only the second worst. It was really 2008. I'm over leveraged in real estate. I have multiple businesses, and I went from just 10 straight years of growth. Like, irony is 2008, I'm hitting the Inc. 500, I'm hitting New York Times, and my business is declining. So like, outwardly it looks like everything's perfect.
Mhm.
Inwardly, I'm like having a crisis of like, who am I? Do I even deserve to be your husband? All that kind of stuff. And so for 2 years, I'm emotionally unavailable, and we have 2 young kids. And then on the other side of that, it took a while for me to build trust with her, that I would be there, that I would listen to her, that I wouldn't put the business first, that I wouldn't make this mistake a third time. And what ended up happening is, in 2012, I just showed her. I didn't tell her. I just put her way ahead of the business. And my partner was like, look, we'll get the business, we'll improve margins, we'll cut back on some things. But even if we lower our revenue, our margins will leave the profit the same. And I remember her looking at me being like, are we okay? Like, you're home all the time. And like, she was just worried, like, are we going to have money coming in?
Yeah.
I brought her and the kids on the few speaking events I did that year. And we just had the best romance that whole year. It was like so rewarding. We never missed a date night. We did all this kind of stuff. We created vision for our marriage. We created these rhythms, and then we've kept those. Like, if I'm gone more than 4 nights in a month, then I take a day off during the week.
Mhm.
Right?
They actually had sex twice that year.
Really?
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Really romantic. We've only had sex twice. My son's right there. We've had 2 kids. Like, actually, their favorite jokes are the most inappropriate jokes around that kind of stuff.
You're not
And my wife's
embarrassed at all,
always
are
like,
you?
but like, that's the thing, is it was hard for me to learn like how valuable family is,
Mhm.
and how lucky I am that I've got these great parents, I've got great siblings, and it takes work because we don't always see the world exactly the same, but we find a way through it. I've got great in-laws, I've got great, it's like, I think of how rich all that is,
Mhm.
and how important that is as a base and a foundation. And in my 20s, I would have just never considered that at this level, because it was all about my status and how many employees I had and how much revenue I did and how much I was growing. And did you think I was cool? Like, that was a huge part of it. And I still have bouts of that.
Mhm.
I still want to have
Mhm.
the best-selling financial book in history of all time. I still want people to read it and tell me they love it. Not like, I still like that,
Yeah.
but it's not what it was
No.
in my 20s.
The purpose is different this time, and it's so
I
funny
have
how
better perspective finally.
exactly.
And who knows what I'll say in 10 years, that I'm a jackass today, but
Right.
that's part of being alive, is we just keep learning our lessons if we're willing to learn them.
Totally. It's so different how we look at success differently today than we did then. Right. You're talking about your family and your in-laws and all those people, and I'm thinking to myself, that's your success.
Yeah.
Right. Not the financial gain and the revenue and the net profit and all those things. It's the impact that you're having on people by writing a book. Your purpose is different today. And this is what makes you the most wealthiest man today, is that your son is here with you today at this event, watching you have an impact on people's lives. And you're leading by a good example, just like we would want to do in any facet of our life, is lead by example, have as much impact. And we said it the other day, where the real big flex comes in is not your bank account. It's how many lives that you're impacting, right? If you can 10x the impact that you have on people's lives, that's more wealth than anything else that you can
And
create.
that wealth will follow financially.
Yeah.
The bottom line.
And
It's
that
a
was,
byproduct.
exactly. So I wanted to ask you this question before I forgot. Did you see an improvement in your business once you diverted your attention more into your family? Did you see that your business thrived even more?
Look, in 2007, coming off that 2006 confrontation,
Mm-hmm.
that was the biggest year we'd ever had. And I really stayed committed to the family. In 2017, I spent 63 days in Italy with my family. It's the first time since I had been married that my wife and I had been together 63 straight days, because I'm either going to an event or speaking. And good news is she still liked me after it. But like, that was my biggest net profit year of all the years up until that point. And I was gone for 63 days. My team had to mature. We had to think more strategically. And I had all this downtime with my family, which allowed me to kind of like awaken to my hobbies. I came back, learned how to be an amateur barista because Italy has good coffee. I started fly fishing out where, he's come and visited. I became a whiskey som. I started smoking tobacco pipes with my dad here and there.
Nice.
Which he grew up Mormon, so that was crazy to sit down and do, but we got this time together. And what I found was I fell in love with writing. I fell in love with these things that I had done as a work thing, that it just became a life thing. And I blurred the lines between work and play so much more effectively. And so, yeah, like it's hard for us, I think, to go, all right, if I spend less time, I can make more money. We feel we're trained so linear. So it's like more effort, more time equals more money. But sometimes more effort, more time equals more exhaustion and limits the ability for other people to help us and mature. Like if your kids are always in the home and you do everything for them, they don't ever mature. But I was gone for 63 days. The team had to run ads when I wasn't there. They ran workshops when I wasn't there. They matured, which really helped us through COVID to grow during that time where a lot of people in our business they were really suffering. So that's all. It's all more our vision and our thoughts create exponential results if we allow other people to grow with us instead of doing all the work ourselves.
Exactly. I love that. And it's like one of those things. I think I read it in a John Maxwell book. I don't know which one, but when you start working on like yourself and your leadership abilities, and sometimes a lot of that has to do with you letting go of the wheel and allowing other people to start making decisions on their own and not necessarily teaching them how to think, but what to think, basically think on their own, right? And how things will exponentially grow at that point in time because you're no longer bottlenecking things.
Yeah.
Because all decisions went through you, probably, at least if you ran the business any way that I've run it in the past. But as soon as I started to delegate those things and work on my leadership abilities and start to leverage my assets, and basically that's what you did. You leveraged your assets. They had to think on their own. They had to think outside the box because now daddy's not home, right? It sounds like you hit at that point in time, whether you knew it or not, surrounded yourself around good people. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I guess. But no, this has been freaking mind blowing, and it's going to take me a minute to digest half of the shit that you were talking about there, especially the financial aspect of things of the 4 types of people.
Well, the good news is you've got this book.
Okay, so it is in the book.
You can read it. It's a big part of the book. There's even a money persona quiz.
Yeah.
Very easy. Only takes 5-7 minutes, and you get a good insights. So
I already know mine.
Striver Creator.
I was going to say Striver Catalyst.
Well, yeah, Striver Creator
Are they
on your primary. Then I would think it would be High Roller Catalyst on your secondary.
Cool.
I love this.
Same.
So how can people get a hold of you or get in touch with you?
GarretGunderson.com is my website. You can click on musings. I write a blog like it's 2006. I just love writing. So that's pretty insightful. The quiz is on there. Some of my other books. If you get on my list, I send out a weekly email that just is, content basically. Every now and again, I try to sell stuff. Not that often.
I love it. GarretGunderson.com.
Yep.
You're the man.
Garnett or Garrett?
Garrett. Garnett.
I love that. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks
and thank you everybody for participating in the fun.
Sweet.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
See y'all.